June 6, 2026, 2200. Professor Namyong Lee's Global Political News, long version. Diagnosing the structural problems of South Korea's electoral system through the 6-3 local elections. Hello, this is Professor Namyong Lee. The June 3, 2026 local elections were not merely an election to choose governors, mayors, and local government leaders. They served as a major social test of how much trust South Korea's electoral system, the very heart of its democracy, has earned from the public. More important than the election results themselves is a fundamental question. Can all citizens trust the outcome? Let us compare democracy to a large passenger aircraft. Passengers are generally less concerned about who the pilot is than whether the aircraft is safely designed and whether its instruments function accurately. No matter how fast an airplane may fly, if its instruments appear unreliable and its records are unclear, passengers become uneasy. Elections are no different. The essence of democracy lies not in which party wins, but in whether citizens can trust the electoral process. Countries around the world manage election integrity as a matter of national importance. The United States conducts federal elections through decentralized state-level systems and broadly allows party observers and citizen monitoring. In 2009, Germany's Federal Constitutional Court emphasized the principle of public verifiability by questioning whether electronic voting systems could be independently verified by ordinary citizens. The United Kingdom continues to rely largely on paper ballot systems and allows party representatives to observe vote counting. What mature democracies have in common is not a pursuit of efficiency, but a commitment to verifiability. First, South Korea should re-examine the purpose and procedures of its early voting system. Early voting was introduced to increase voter convenience. However, when convenience and trustworthiness come into conflict, democracy must prioritize trust. Just as a major bank cannot leave its vault doors open simply for customer convenience, an election system cannot pursue convenience alone. As early voting expands, the transportation, storage, security, and management of ballots become increasingly complex. The more complicated the procedures become, the harder they are for ordinary citizens to understand. The less understandable the process is, the more suspicions may arise. Trust should be simple enough that it does not require lengthy explanations. Second, the vote counting process should be transparent enough for citizens to verify directly. The ultimate security mechanism of democracy is not a computer. It is the eyes of the people. Around the world, regions with high levels of election trust share a common characteristic. They allow citizens to observe as much of the election process as possible. In Taiwan, for example, public vote counting procedures allow citizens and observers to watch the process directly after voting ends. Hundreds of engaged citizens can often provide a stronger layer of oversight than a single surveillance camera. Third, the accountability and explanatory responsibility of election authorities should be strengthened. Whenever an aircraft accident occurs, experts around the world investigate the cause. Transparency, rather than concealment, is the foundation for restoring trust. Elections are no different. When issues such as ballot shortages, administrative mistakes, or procedural errors occur, it is not sufficient merely to state that the problems did not affect the outcome. Detailed explanations and preventive measures should be presented so that citizens can understand what happened and why it will not happen again. In a democracy, trust is not obtained through declarations. It is accumulated through actions. Fourth, the scope of public access to election-related data and records should be expanded. Artificial intelligence and data analysis technologies have advanced dramatically. Financial institutions preserve transaction records. Aircraft use flight recorders. Corporations undergo independent audits. Elections should likewise move toward broader disclosure and verification of records and data whenever possible to strengthen public confidence. Transparency is not the enemy of security. It is often the strongest form of security. The less there is to hide, the greater the trust. Fifth, the philosophy of election administration should shift from efficiency-centered thinking to trust-centered thinking. Democracy should not be judged by how quickly it produces results, but by how much confidence it inspires. No passenger would board a high-speed train if they doubted the reliability of its brakes. Elections are similar. A vote count taking several extra hours is not necessarily a problem. However, if citizens lose confidence in the results, the legitimacy of democracy itself may be weakened. The true cost of democracy is not speed. it is trust. The World Economic Forum and numerous democratic governance research institutions have found that countries with higher levels of election trust tend to possess stronger social capital, greater acceptance of public policies, and lower levels of political conflict. Conversely, declining trust in elections is often associated with increasing political polarization and social division. Election confidence is therefore not merely a political issue, it is also a matter of national competitiveness. The June 3rd local elections were significant not only because of who won or lost, but because they highlighted areas where South Korean democracy can continue to improve. In democracy, procedures matter as much as outcomes. When people trust the process, even those who lose can accept the results. Just as athletes accept victory or defeat when they trust the referee, democratic societies can achieve social unity only when citizens trust electoral procedures. For South Korea to become one of the world's leading democracies, it must place greater value on trust than convenience, verification than speed, and transparency than technological complexity. Elections are not merely votes, they are a process through which citizens express confidence in their nation and through which democratic legitimacy is established. We must never forget that the ultimate security safeguard of democracy is an informed and vigilant citizenry. Bringing Korea's future into a global perspective, this is NamyongTV. Your subscription and like are powerful forces for building a brighter future for Korea. Thank you.